Coming up today in episode 209 of Husavik Heroes, we play the second leg of the first knockout round in the Champions League against Real Madrid at home with a 2-0 lead. Hopefully as well, we'll have the draw for the quarter and the semi-final and see who we could be playing over the next few episodes. And also, we've hit the second knockout round of the Conference League. Are the Icelandic team still alive? Find out off the back of the intro. Welcome back to Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and if you are looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But first things first, in today's episode, which does follow up the first leg of the first knockout round yesterday, as well as a bit of a transfer update. If you missed that episode, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. But we have already had both legs of the second knockout round of the Conference League. Of course, both Icelandic teams did make their way through to that second knockout round. So we'll do a quick update on that before we get stuck into our side of things here in the Champions League. And as you can see on screen, unfortunately, a little bit of mixed results there for the Icelandic teams, especially the top one there. Of course, HK were taking on a Portuguese team. A win there would have been quite useful on the coefficient table, but unfortunately HK, they lost the first leg, drew the second, and that meant they went out 3-2 to Xavier. So HK are no longer in Europe, but you make your way down a little bit further and Phil here against the Beershot team, who were struggling a little bit domestically. Of course, they had just done enough there to go through to the Conference League quarterfinals. So some good work there from Phil here. They must have picked up a 3-2 win in the first leg and have backed that up with a 2-2 draw in the second leg, and that does mean they're going to be making their way through to the quarterfinals. So as I said, a little bit of a mixed result there for the Icelandic teams, but there's still one alive alongside us going in to the quarterfinals of Europe. And as you can see there, it could have been a really interesting quarterfinal because Phil here have been drawn against the team who did knock out HK in Xavier's. That will be coming up alongside our quarterfinal in tomorrow's episode. I'd like to think Phil here, with a little bit better recent domestic form, might be a decent chance there of defeating Xavier's and maybe making their way through to the semi-finals of the Conference League, but getting a little bit of help there from the fellow Icelandic teams, albeit just one of them left now, as Phil here are the only team left in the quarterfinals of the Conference League. But in terms of what we've done since that first leg in yesterday's episode, we rounded out the group stage of the Deildabikar with two pretty solid victories. As you can see there, 5-0 over from Reykjavik. That was off the back of an international break, and then we played our second team in our most recent game against Keflavik and did pick up a 6-0 win. So two very comprehensive wins there, and that does mean we go through the group stage in top spot and with a very, very healthy goal differential. And what that means coming up for the quarterfinals is, unfortunately, we can't actually tell you yet because not all the groups have quite finished yet, but you can see the teams who are going to make their way through to that quarterfinal draw. Nuts KR topping Group A, Philcare Group B, and HK Group D. So that's going to be a very interesting draw there for that League Cup semi-final. Pretty much everyone, I think, might be wanting to play Nuts KR because the other three teams are pretty much the best three teams in Iceland, as we have seen in recent history in this save. But that is what we've done off the back of yesterday's episode and making our way back to the Champions League. You can see now the results from the top half of this first knockout round. Barcelona there picking up a 2-0 win in the second leg, so they go through over Dortmund. Man United doing enough to hold on to their advantage over Sevilla to go through. In the end, AC Milan have held on to defeat PSG in what would be a little bit of an upset, I think it is fair to say. And also Arsenal have come from behind to beat Juventus, last year's finalists, on penalties as well. So those are the four teams going through. All of the teams on the right-hand side, there's a small chance that could continue today, albeit Bayern Munich are in a very, very strong position against Manchester City. In fact, I lie because those ties have been completed. Silly Shaun forgot to look down that far. Bayern Munich doing enough in that first leg yesterday with that 4-0 win. Man City win the second leg 1-0, but it was not enough to turn that around. So Man City are gone at the hands of Bayern Munich, and down further, the team that came out of our group, Lille, could not match up with Chelsea. They are defeated 5-1 on aggregates. As I said, most of the teams there down the right-hand side do look like they are going to make their way through with both us and Hertha Berlin in quite a strong position at the moment. Just Bayern Munich, the team who have caused a little bit of an upset, but we're quite familiar with Real Madrid. Of course, we've played them a lot recently, as well as in yesterday's episode. They do have one suspension to deal with, that one to Loboso, who came on and absolutely cut down Bruno Costa. And in terms of us, we are back to full strength for this one, so we'll run you guys through the team sheet shortly and hopefully hold on to this lead that we built up nicely in yesterday's episode, as we are going to be back shortly with the team sheets for the second leg from my arena, and we take a 2-0 lead into it in this first knockout round. And here are the team sheets for today's game. There we are. Filippo Dinelli is back at centre-back, so we are back to our first choice full strength 11 with those sales that we did make considered in yesterday's episode. And there are Real Madrid, a few changes. Interesting to note that Horikawa has been dropped down to the bench, so both former Völsungur players are on the bench as Real Madrid get a little bit dizzy there pre-game, and hopefully we can make our way through to the quarterfinals with that 2-0 lead that we built up yesterday. And we go forward to the 7-minute mark for our first highlight in this one. Real Madrid there, I think we're on the attack, but we get the ball up nice and quickly to our attacking line, and Alessandro Doumbia there with a good chance. It's a low-driven shot, forces a decent save there out of Hemmingson in goal, so we get on the front foot here nice and early. One more goal I think might be enough to put this tie to bed, and Basicki there with a header, but straight into the path of Hemmingson. So 0 all early on the day, 2-0 Völsungur on aggregate, albeit not too long off the back of that previous highlight. We have a throw in here inside the final third, but Real Madrid do get a chance here to do something on the counter-attack, and Lopez here linked up nicely with Camavinga, but he tried to find Quintana there, and I believe that might have been Lapasset who did get the ball back for us there down our left-hand side. Now Agatigre finds Adam Saki, and we just hold things up here in the somewhat advanced midfield. Radenko Krolo finds some space down the right-hand side, links up with Doumbia, some good short passing here right on towards the edge of that box. Krolo will find Agatigre. We're just looking for someone here to find a little bit of space, and Alessandro Doumbia is that man, and somehow Real Madrid do not block that shot. I thought that was going to be saved either by the goalkeeper or by Tanguy Nyanza. It does look like from commentary he is the man getting blamed for that error, and we open the scoring here after only 10 minutes and already have a 3-0 lead in this tie, and that surely is going to be enough. Not quite sure how that ball snuck through that gap, but it did, and we make it 1-0 on the day. And we go forward to the 26-minute mark for our next meaningful highlight in this game. But it's been a good start for us here. Hopefully we can make it 2 wins from 2 this time over Real Madrid. And it does look like already we should be in a strong position to make our way through to that quarterfinal draw, which will come up later in today's episode. Hopefully it will be both us and Phil here in the quarterfinals of Europe this season. We get the ball forward now into the opposition half. Adam Saki just roams out a little bit down the left-hand side. Will he try and square this? He does for Bayer. It was a little difficult shot there, looking for that top left corner. It comes off the post, and still 1-0 on the day, coming up to the half-hour mark. And a few minutes off the back of that previous highlight, a free kick here to Real Madrid. Makoko, a decent effort there. They have the ball inside the box. We scramble that away somewhat. Berger there with a tackle, and thankfully that highlight is over. Real Madrid, their first real chance of this game, still 1-0 on the day, 3-0 on aggregate. And it is half-time in the second leg of this first knockout round tie in the Champions League. Things going well, of course, 3-0 up on aggregate and 1-0 up on the day. And based on the stats, I think that's fair enough. We're just edging things in most categories, so I do think we deserve that lead. Hopefully we can hold on to it here in the second half. We are going to make one change at half-time. Basaroge did pick up a yellow card late in that first half. We'll take absolutely no risks at all. Gabriel Capan will come on for him, and we should already be in a strong position, but hopefully we can extend this lead and just make sure of it in the second half. 1-0 up on the day, 3-0 on aggregate. And nearly 10 minutes into the second half, we have our first highlight of it here, and yet again we are in possession this time, looking to play out from the back down this right-hand side, albeit Doumbia will try and switch that out to the left, but can't quite link up with Lapasset, albeit good work from him there to pinch that ball back. Adam Saki will chip that over Hemmingson. It's a lovely finish. Good work there from Lapasset after the ball didn't quite reach him. Does some good work there to get the ball back, and a nice ball over there for Adam Saki. He pinches this off of Quintana, and from there it's a nice lofted ball, and Adam Saki is lethal in front of goal. He catches out the goalkeeper there just inside that far post, and that will surely put this tie to bed. 2-0 on the day 4-0 on aggregate with around about 35 minutes left, albeit not too long off the back of that second goal. We are down the other end here for a Real Madrid free kick. Lopez with a shot on target, and he completely catches us out. Real Madrid get their first goal in this tie, albeit might be a case now of too little too late, but that's a little bit of a disappointing goal there to concede. Was not expecting the shot directly, and it doesn't look like Carl Vollen was either. Gets caught out there somewhat positioning-wise, and it is now 2-1 Völsungur on the day, but 4-1 on aggregate. But Real Madrid giving themselves a potentially sneaky chance here of pulling off a miracle comeback, or at least getting something out of the second leg anyway. And they hold possession here off of the restart. So Real Madrid might have finally kicked into life in this tie, and Rani tries to find the left-hand side there. Thankfully, we did briefly get possession back, but they win it back there through Camavinga, and Lopez will try and pick up a double with that shot. Goes just over the bar, so a good spell here for Real Madrid, but still 2-1 on the day and 4-1 on aggregate. And very shortly off the back of those recent highlights in favour of Real Madrid, we are going to make our second substitution. Agatigere not playing too well today. Maurizio Menga has done well for us in European competitions in the past. Off of the bench will make that change, and that is 2 of them used, still 4-1 on aggregate with a half hour left. And a few minutes off the back of that second substitution, we get play back underway here off the back of an offside with a free kick to Real Madrid. Tanguy Nianzou here is on the ball, one of a few players who at the start of the game will be quite familiar as wonder kids in this upcoming season who are retiring at the end of it. We do get the ball back there through a nice deflection. Good chance here for Benvenu Bayer, but unfortunately hits that straight into the path of Hemmingson in goal for Real Madrid. That would have been an absolute gift for us and would have given us a nice little buffer here in the second leg from the subsequent corner, and Milani does deal with that at the near post, but we are going to have another one here, and we'll see what happens off the back of this. We can't quite link up though with Filippo Dinelli, and I'm pretty sure there that Dumbia is offside, still 2-1 with 25 minutes left. And just inside the 69th minute for our next highlight, so a nice time here for a corner to Real Madrid, but we hit it away, and Adam Saki is on the run here. Can he link up with Menga, who is just in front of him? He's looking for him, it looks like, but just starts to make his way out towards that left-hand side now. Bayer tries to put a ball here into the mixer, and now it might be Real Madrid with a chance on the counter-attack. They try and loop that over the top for Horikawa, who has made his way off of the bench, and we get the ball back now, and Adam Saki is still roaming down this left-hand side. This time he does find Lapase off the back of an assist for that first goal in today's game. We keep the ball here nicely, and it is Nianzou, gives the ball away there to Benvenu Bayer. Now Berger, little sign over the top for Maurizio Menga. He puts down the back of the net, albeit was he offside? It does look like quite a close call that. I would suggest he might just be a straight offside, but in fact the goal has been awarded, and that is our third of the day, and that will surely wrap this one up now, both on aggregate and on the day. Maurizio Menga off of the bench, first time finish, and just rolls that past Hemmingson, yet again coming off the bench and giving us some good impact in Europe. In fact, he is actually well onside. It's a very well-timed run that from the young Argentinian to make it 3-1 on the day, 5-1 on aggregate. And we're just about to enter the last 10 minutes of this game, and time for us to make our last substitution. Lassana Doumbia down to a red heart. Bruno Costa will come on for him. And we're inside the last few minutes here of this game. It's a free kick here for Real Madrid, which Horikawa does somewhat take short, but it should look like we're going to pick up the win here in both legs and make our way through in quite stylish fashion here over a Real Madrid team who were suspected to be up there, albeit Camavinga might have just sit up there. Our former player in Tomohiro Horikawa, I think he was onside that time, and indeed that is the case. So Real Madrid, for the first time in this game, do score from open play. The first time in this tie, they left it quite late. Nice ball here from Camavinga, and there's quite a big gap there in our defence. Horikawa makes the most of it. Carl Vollen potentially could have done a little bit better there to try and save that, but in the end it's not going to hurt us too much. He is performing averagely a bit on a 6.6, but good finish there from our former player who has got to Real Madrid from Man City after, of course, we did sell him there. But I think that is going to be the last highlight of the game. As I mentioned earlier at halftime, I think it stayed about the same in the second half. We have just edged things slightly here in the second leg, and that backs up that good 2-0 win that we did have yesterday at the Bernabeu. And in the end, that result was probably the key one, because this game at home was a little bit closer than maybe we would have liked, but we go through 5-2 on aggregate. We can't be too disappointed with that result, and that means that we are going to take our part in the quarterfinal and semi-final draw right off the back of this game. We'll just go forward a little bit and make sure that Hertha Berlin are the other team making their way through to the quarterfinals. And indeed that is the case. They also had a bit of a close call here in that second leg, but go through 2-1 from the second leg and 5-1 on aggregate. So quite a similar tie there to that one that we just had against Real Madrid, but that is a good start to the knockouts for us there. We knock out the second favourites for this year's competition, and we'll come back shortly with the quarterfinal draw. And it is time for the quarterfinal draw off the back of that win against Real Madrid. There's no point waiting for this because, of course, we already knew all the results from the other ties in that first knockout round before we did take part in that second leg. So just a quick update on who is in this round. Arsenal, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Hertha Berlin, Manchester United, and AC Milan. I think we back ourselves against any of those teams off the back of what we've done in the group stage and in that first knockout round there against Real Madrid, as I mentioned there, a team who were the second favourites for this season's competition. First up out of the hat are Man United, a team we are very familiar with from previous knockout campaigns. It's an all-English tie though, as they are going to be taking on Arsenal, of course the team who we bet pretty comprehensively in the Super Cup earlier this year. Next out of the hat is us. So that does mean we're going to have our first leg at home this time, which could make things a little bit interesting. It's been a while since we've been at home for the first leg of a Champions League knockout tie, and we are taking on AC Milan from Italy. So that is an interesting matchup. Of course, in the group stage, we did pick up 2 wins against Inter Milan. It'll be interesting to see how AC Milan are doing compared to those guys, but hopefully that is a tie that we can win. The third tie is between Chelsea and Barcelona, and that does mean the last tie is an all-German affair between Hertha Berlin and Bayern Munich. Of course, these days, Hertha Berlin probably the favourites for that one, having won the Bundesliga over the past few seasons, but we are taking on AC Milan in the quarterfinal. And before we do leave things for draws, we will quickly do the draw for the semi-final as well. First out of the hat is the all-English tie, Man United or Arsenal. They are playing the winner of Chelsea or Barcelona. So if we do make the final this season, chances are it will be against an English team, because if we can make our way through to that final, we would have done it having beaten AC Milan as well as one of those German teams in Hertha Berlin or Bayern Munich. Would be quite confident going into that semi-final. We have a pretty good record against the German teams in recent history in this save, and to be fair, apart from our very first time in the knockouts of the Champions League, our record against German teams overall is pretty good as well. But that does mean that tomorrow we are coming back for both legs of that quarterfinal against AC Milan. As I said, this time the first leg is going to be played at my arena, so it's a little bit different to what has happened over most ties in recent history, but hopefully we can perform well over both legs and make our way through to yet another Champions League semi-final. AC Milan currently finding themselves 5th in Serie A, and if we have a look at the Serie A table, they are quite some distance behind an Inter Milan team who we bet, as I said, fairly comfortably both times in the group stage. So based on that, I'd like to think that is a tie that we can be winning fairly comfortably, but you never know in Football Manager. If we have a few off games, things could get interesting indeed, but that looks like quite a kind potential quarterfinal draw for us there in the semi-final. Not too bad either, as I mentioned, with our recent history against German teams in this season. Hertha Berlin yet again look like they are a lot stronger than Bayern Munich, but we'll get through tomorrow's episode first before we start to focus a little bit more on those German teams, and also a quick update on the draw for the last couple of stages of the League Cup. Our semi-final has been drawn, and not too long off the back of this game, we are taking on Kiel, both of the teams who are still in Europe facing off their head-to-heads. That will be a very interesting matchup there in that League Cup semi-final, and if we get through that, we will play the winner of the other semi-final between HK and Nuts KR. But that will do it for today's episode. In the end, a quite close win there over Real Madrid. Quite an entertaining second leg, albeit we were in a pretty safe position off the back of that 2-0 win in the first leg, and we do get AC Milan in the quarterfinals for tomorrow's episode. If you did enjoy this one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until tomorrow, as I mentioned, for the Champions League quarterfinals for 2039 against AC Milan, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.